Hey everybody, it's Chip Towers back with Towers Take Live on Facebook. Sorry about that. I was looking down at my phone as it buzzed. As you know, this is a live and interactive medium. You'll never know what you'll see. And so I'm back. I'm glad to be back. I had a brief little vacation there for spring break. And just trying to find something there on my phone. And I hope you, if you are having your spring break, have gotten to get out and do something. I went and did a little bit of camping, which was awesome. Kind of limited to phones and internet. You know, we're all so wired nowadays. So that was sort of good to get away. I'll be looking at your comments on Facebook and answering your questions as always, as soon as I can get those dialed up here. And let's make sure that, get your comments dialed up here, and I'll be able to see. Oh, hello, golly, a lot of folks here. Hello, everybody. I love this one. Robert Danger Kamirzak. Welcome, Danger. We welcome Danger here. Kibo Weir, Tommy Taylor, Deepak Khanna, Marshall Fleming coming in from Clearwater Beach. Are you literally on the beach, Marshall? Clearwater Beach. What a beautiful place. That is one of my favorite places to go. I love it down there. And I know you guys are familiar with the AJC and Steve Hummer. Steve Hummer hails from Clearwater. I don't know many people who hail from Clearwater, but he's there. Hello, Keith Bradshaw, Bill Radford. So like I said, I'm just kind of getting back in my seat here. Glad to be back, and I'll be at Georgia's football practice later this afternoon for Georgia's practice number 8, I believe it is, of the spring practice. So what happened while I was gone? Well, let me think. 2 more arrests, and I'm not gonna go on and on about this. Hello, Ab Harding is here. Hello, Christy Bedell Towers. Good to see her here as well. Brandon Vernon. So 2 more arrests. That's 6 in the last month or so. 6 for 2019. Too many. Kirby fell on the sword about it, as I saw this past week. As for the arrests themselves, Robert Bill and Brenton Cox, pot in the room. The bust happens at 3:13 p.m. on Tuesday before they were supposed to go out to the practice field about 4. I don't know what to say other than college kids are stupid sometimes, and that was stupid. And there's 2 keys to it here. I think number 1, there had already been a number of arrests, so obviously this is something Kirby has talked about. You get into the entire sensibility of marijuana. Is it legal? Should it be illegal? Kirby Smart addressed this directly. The fact of the matter is, at this moment in time, it is illegal. Not only the laws of Georgia and Athens, Clark County, but also, probably more importantly, the NCAA. So, as far as eligibility and everything, I can hear these kids right now moaning and bemoaning, and I know they get beat up. I understand marijuana and why it ought to be okay and all that kind of stuff, but it's not. So, to have it strode about your dorm room, I think is ridiculous. Hey, I went to Georgia in the 1980s. I'm not revealing anything, but I have tried marijuana in my life, including when I was at Georgia. And I stayed at a dorm in Georgia. And I know the one thing you absolutely did not do with RAs and everything else is smoke pot in your room, where, and anybody who could hear it, see it, smell it, you lose control of it at that moment. So, you know, whatever comes of this, we will see. Now I'm efforting to look into this a little bit, but it used to be that if you were caught with marijuana by the law, and in any other form within the team, Georgia had a student athlete handbook that called for a 10% suspension of games, for any athlete caught like that. Um, that hasn't necessarily always been the case with Kirby, and I'm going to get some clarification on all this to find out whether the student athlete handbook has actually changed now, or if it changes for Kirby Smart, or if Kirby Smart has changed it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking, like I said before, I'm not looking to vilify anybody or whatever, but, there's a reason that you have, sort of student athlete handbooks and stuff like that, because you want everybody treated the same, no matter what the sport, no matter what the situation. It needs to be straightforward. You get caught smoking pot in your dorm room, this is what happens. It can't be left to the coach's discretion, because you start dealing with coach's discretion, and then you're inviting second guessing. You're inviting, you're inviting latitude, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing. So anyway, enough about that. Georgia baseball is going on as well. I don't know how many of you guys pay attention to baseball. Google Analytics tell us that you don't get wild and crazy about reading about it. I find that interesting because I do think it's pretty fascinating. This weekend, Georgia baseball, which if I'm not mistaken is up to 25-5 now, something like that. Anyway, they're ranked number 4. They don't lose very often, and they're playing Vanderbilt this weekend in a 3-game series. Now, for those of you not familiar with baseball, Vanderbilt opened the season preseason number 1. Vanderbilt and Florida have largely owned the SEC in baseball, with LSU to a lesser extent here in recent years. Vanderbilt visiting Foley Field for 3 games, sold out series, starts tomorrow. I'm going to run by Foley Field and get a couple of words with Coach Scott Strickland and hopefully a couple of those players, and sort of give you a little preview of the series, I guess, or what have you. But it is remarkable what Scott Strickland and his team are doing. I think it is a testament to the patience of Scott Strickland and to athletic director Greg McGarity. Say what you want, he's kind of stood by his man on this, and it's always been sort of pointed to and circled that this was going to be the season where they should mature as a team. That certainly has been the case, and they've done so despite some real challenges, from an injury standpoint. There's been a lot of guys hurt on this team, not the least of which is catcher Mason Meadows. Just a freak fluke deal, fouls a ball off his bat in the LSU series into his face. Several facial fractures, including those at the orbital of a bone, and really a remarkable testament to, modern medicine and prayer. Mason Meadows called for prayer and got them, both from the LSU community and the University of Georgia community. And he's supposed to come back, if not this weekend, next weekend. I mean, he's back with the team. He's back in the dugout. That is incredible, y'all. No matter how you look at it, Brett Tears. I'm gonna get to your comments here in a minute. Brett Tears. It's illegal, fool, and it's true. It's illegal, man. It's just this, So if you're gonna do it, you need to treat it as such. But look, guys, these over and above the law, these athletes are, they're subject to drug testing, which is a part of their scholarship agreement at Georgia. So, I mean, I don't know about all that, but you're risking it anyway. Kenneth Stantz says he's read that it was just under an ounce of weed. I don't know how much it was, but it's a misdemeanor amount. They found various amounts all around the dorm room, laying out and in the top of drawers, and and all over the place. So they weren't hiding it. Quote, per se. So anyway, but that was so talking about the baseball team. Also, before I forget, a little tip of the cap to the Georgia women's tennis team that continues to be ranked number 1. They're 17-0 right now. It's all about football, and I'm about to get to my impressions about spring football. But let's give the other sports their due respect. Softball, a little bit down right now. They're out of the top 10 for the time being. They're always strong under Lou Harris-Champer. Baseball, top 5 right now. Women's tennis ranked number 1. Men's tennis, another off year. I know Manny Diaz and his great program are trying to get it going. Not going so great at the moment. But women's tennis, Jeff Wallace, a tremendous coach, and they got some fantastic student athletes over there. And that's good to see. Ross Kesterson here. Hey, Ross, how you doing? Good to see you, Ross. I hired him not too long ago in my other house for something. Had a flood, and he fixed it. So thank you for hanging out with me. And lastly, before I turn my attention back to football, real quick, I would like to make a personal appeal to those of you in the Dog Nation community that believe in the power of prayer like I do. And I'll have a little something on the website here later, a Tower's take on Kelly and Matthew Stafford. I know everybody by now has heard that Kelly Stafford is dealing with a brain tumor. She's a UGA cheerleader. In many ways, Matthew and Kelly Stafford were sort of a first family of Georgia football, certainly while they were here, and by extension since they've left. She's dealing with a brain tumor on a personal level. My mother had a brain tumor, and I lost my mother at 12 years old. And I really want to appeal to everybody out there to pray for Kelly Stafford. And I say that because Kelly Stafford asked for prayers. And I think that is a beautiful part of the story and how she's dealing with this. A lot of times when you have somebody in this situation who's kind of in the public eye, they'll say, the family would like some privacy at this time and all. But I love the way she's dealing with it. She reached out and asked for prayers. And one thing I've learned having this platform and being around Georgia athletics for a while, last year with the Ergel family, the way the Dog Nation came out, the Devin Gales situation, really a multitude of situations have come and gone since I've been, had this platform, and it's remarkable to watch. So Kelly Stafford is asking for your prayers, and I join her and in reaching out to you to say, if you believe that way and you believe in the power of prayer, let's please circle up and pray for Kelly Stafford and all those. They're not the only people dealing with those situations. My goodness, we could sit here all day if we talked about who all we knew was dealing with this, that, or the other thing. Here's the bottom line: we're all dealing with something, and so anyway, I think that is a beautiful and graceful way to handle this, the Stafford family, the way they're handling it. And so I definitely want to uh, draw attention to that. So back to football, and on the field. Like I said, I've been out the last couple of practices. Went camping with my family. That was great to get away. And they'll have practice number 8 this afternoon. I'll be interested to see whether it's full pads or if they're off. They have a limited number of full contact practices versus not full contact practices that they're dealing with right now. It's been a very encouraging spring, insofar as I can tell from my standpoint. I think it's been a strong spring, particularly when you see some of the developments. We've already heard Kirby, for him, sort of lavishly throw praise the way of Jermaine Johnson, the way of Nolan Smith, the outside linebackers. Not unrelated, in my opinion, is Walter Grant being moved around to look at his possible contributions at different positions, running back and tight end. And I'm going to weigh in on this as well on Dog Nation now that I'm back and make up for some lost time. But I just think that Walter Grant's an unbelievable athlete. He's one of those that I happened to go down there to Cairo, Georgia, back when he was a recent signee. Got to visit with him and Steve Dvorsny. You may remember him from his Griffin days. He's been down there at Cairo, and Coach Dvorsny just raved about this kid who played everything for him, but he ended up moving him to running back his senior year at Cairo because they had some injuries and stuff there, and they just didn't have anybody who could give them the tough yards. And Walter Grant did a great job of that. Hey, listen, let's play nice here on the comments, y'all. When you get into the area of marijuana and legalization of marijuana and police in Athens, that gets to be a very divisive situation. Let's all understand that everybody has different sensibilities about this, and when it comes to UGA police and Athens Clarke County police, I've seen this argument a lot. Nobody's got it in for Georgia athletes. You had an RA there at that dorm who walked in and saw all that. All these people have different kind of oaths and stuff that they have to own up to, and all that kind of stuff. So you can't blame anybody for that other than these young student athletes. They know what the laws are. They know what the rules are in the dorm as well. And, you just got to be smart in every level of your life. So there it is. Roy Lansdale Jr. First for the question, how's Zamir White looking? He looks fantastic. Out there running around on the field. He's not going to get hit. He's not going to win or lose a position this spring, but he will figure into the tailback situation this fall. In preseason camp, he'll be able to hit and run and cut like everybody else. Right now, he's just running, through some drills now and then. But, based on what I saw, looks over and above what I expected him to look at this point. And if you know anything about that young man, you've read any of the accounts of Jeff Sintel, he's a very, very special individual, very determined, and they will get everything they possibly can out of Zamir White. But they've got number one, they've got to be number one. Number two, they can be cautious with the way they handle the Zamir White situation. At the end of the day, they have other backs, starting with DeAndre Swift, who we know from Mike Griffith's strong reporting that they're going to feed him a lot this year. Kirby's already talked about that. For one, I think Brian Herrion's going to be really good. I think Brian Herrion kind of moving out of the shadows a little bit is going to be very, very beneficial for him. I'm fascinated by James Cook, always have been. I don't think he's necessarily ready right now in spring, even though he is recovered from that foot surgery he had before the bowl game, and he is not anywhere close to 100% according to Kirby. I think eventually he will be Dustin Rogers. What about Nate McBride? That's a good one. He puts a JK on there. Just kidding. God bless Nate McBride, man. I hope he breaks out and has an unbelievable year. He is a major contributor on special teams. Nate McBride is, and that's not a small thing. But based on the chatter and everything else we've seen, he's not going to be a major player in the inside linebacker situation. Mike Mizell predicts that Zeus will get 1,000 yards if he can stay healthy. I agree with you that he can be an 1,000-yard rusher. I would bet against you. Maybe we can make us a little arrangement here. A T-shirt, a Dog Nation T-shirt or something. He doesn't get 1,000 yards this year. It'd be wonderful if he did. But, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's necessary. I think he will eventually. James Cook, though, back to him, it's too bad that he had that foot injury because I got to think from everything I've seen from James Cook that his ability at a kick returner, punt returner has got to be great, right? Now, we heard a little bit this week from Kirby Smart about Dominic Blaylock, Dom Blaylock. Be interesting to see what they want to call him once he gets here. That Kirby has some plans for Dom as a kick returner, and we'll have to see what that looks like. But I think James Cook could be terrific, and I think he's great for all he brings as a third back, as a different back. Yeah, Kyrus Jackson is. I think that's probably going to be your starting kick returner, D-Pack. I agree with that 100%. I think Kyrus Jackson is your number. I mean, if insofar as we can do it right now, I'd say Kyrus Jackson is your number one on kick returns right now, punt returns in particular. I don't know about kick returns. Those are hard to guess. Wayne Taylor, no, I have not seen Walter Grant at running back here at Georgia. Now, I saw a lot of tape of him, and Steve Dvorsny showed me some when I was down there in Cairo of him in high school, and it's incredible. I think Connor Riley might be showing you some highlights now. Is that Connor? Who is that? Is that James Cook? That might be James Cook. That kid's unbelievable. But Walter Grant, now he's a load at running back, and he stands out when he's over there with the Georgia running backs right now. I mean, he's a big dude. I think he's 6'3" or 4" or whatever he is, and he was the real deal. So you're right, Mike Mizell. You are loaded at running back. Todd Horn wants to know, looking to the future, what's your prediction if Fromm leaves? Oh gosh, I thought your question when I first glanced at it was, do I think Jake Fromm will leave? And no, I don't think he will, but it largely depends on what happens this season. And I think he's capable of leaving depending on what happens. Because look, guys, here's the fact of the matter. Everybody can say whatever they want about Jake Fromm and his arm talent. I love that. And all that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter, he was invited by the NFL to that combine observation. Him and Andrew Thomas, the only two invited for Georgia. That means they are thinking about you, not the other way around. So, yeah, it's very realistic that Jake Fromm could turn pro after this year. And Frank Brown, I think Georgia has always interpreted that 10% suspension as one game. I agree with the 12 games schedule, 10% a game. That would be 1.2 games. But I think even Mark Richt rounded that down. So that would mean you'd miss the Vanderbilt game, which is no small thing. Brenton Cox and Robert Beal are both major contributors at the outside linebacker spot. So Justin Sisk, I have not heard that Swift tweaked his ankle. The way Swift runs, his ankles are always going to be a deal. But I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, getting back to the question about Jake Fromm. So right now, if Jake Fromm were to have to come out this season, I've been pretty strong on record. I think Stetson Bennett would be your guy. Dwan Mathis, it's going to be about his ability to pick up the offense, and he's considerably behind Stetson Bennett in that regard right now at this moment. That's not going to remain static. That's going to move and fluctuate over time. And Dwan Mathis, he's the type of athlete, 6'6", 205 pounds. You can put some stuff in, like so. If Jake's going to be out for an extended amount of time, talking about this season, you could put in, a certain style of offense that would affect Dwan. Now, Dwan is an extremely bright individual, so he's going to catch up eventually when it comes to the comprehension of the offense. Now, going forward, Georgia's actively recruiting some great quarterbacks. Already has a commitment from a major quarterback. So that would figure in if Jake were to turn pro after this season. I mean, I can go ahead and predict. I mean, what Kirby Smart's going to say. He's going to say it's a wide open competition between these 3 or 4 players, and the best man win. Lest we forget, that's largely the way Jake Fromm earned the job. Though he was helped by Jacob Eason's injury, but I don't think there's any question that that remains a great hypothetical as what would have happened had Jacob Eason not gotten hurt. We'll see. By the way, I reached out there to Washington to try to get some time with Jacob Eason, and have not been allowed it so far. Yeah, I mean, Carson Beck, Marvin Fairley's asking here, could he beat them both out for starter? Of course. That's what I think. It'll be wide open. And, but Georgia's O-line, as Rick Alarcon points out here, Georgia's O-line makes whoever's in there quarterback, makes their less of a challenge for sure. Okay, so Connor's giving me my warning signs that we got to get out of here pretty soon. So if you got any direct questions for me, put them in here right now. We've got about 1 minute. Lorenzo Walters says Jake better learn to get rid of the ball and not take unnecessary sacks. Yes, but here's the thing: you can't get overblown about that, because Georgia's remains a NFL style pocket offense, and sometimes when you got a quarterback, they're looking downfield, and it's the O-line's job to keep a clean pocket. Yes, you got to have pocket awareness. Yes, you have to catch that. I definitely know that that's something Jake Fromm's trying to improve on, both his vision of the pocket and his ability to escape. But James Coley and Kirby Smart want those guys looking downfield most of the time, and the intention is for their O-line to keep the guys off of him. So that's his secondary concern, not his first concern. He's always been very good at protecting the ball. The thing that probably didn't get talked about enough is that Jake does a good job of protecting that football, both from a interception standpoint, and he doesn't fumble much when he gets. Now, sometimes you get clocked blindside over there and you don't see it coming. The best of them lose the football, but he does a good job. I have to talk to Georgia and see if they have stats on just fumbles. How many times has he fumbled the football? Because there hadn't been all that many. Let's see. So we're going to wrap it up now. Hopefully there's not going to be any more rest for this spring, and Kirby and the Bulldogs can cap it at 6. If that's the case, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's the spring, and these young guys, get in trouble from time to time, as long as it's not serious, and as long as it's dealt with in a responsible fashion, I think that'll be fine. I know Kirby's embarrassed by this and doesn't like what it says about him. Baseball, number 4 Georgia against number 5 Vandy this weekend, 3-game series at Foley Field. It's a sellout, I'm told, but listen, you can always – the great thing about Georgia baseball right now, I think, is there's scalpers all over Sanford Drive and Pinecrest Avenue out there selling tickets. So if you want to come, I wouldn't tell you to stay away because you hear it's a sellout. I say come on over. And they got some, I think, standing room only tickets that they're starting to sell now. So come on and check it out. Don't let that turn you away. Again, prayers, please, for Kelly Stafford. she's asking for them, and I think the best thing we can possibly do as a Dog Nation is to offer them up for them. Again, women tennis, 17-0, ranked number 1. Georgia baseball, 25-5, ranked number 4 against number 5 Vanderbilt. Georgia Bulldogs can open the season ranked in the top 5, and we are now just 2 weeks away from the G-Day game on April 20th at 2 p.m. So with no other questions, let's see. One last question here. Winfred Steinspring wants to know, will Fromm play more than 2 or 3 series in the spring game? No. I think he'll come out. I think you got it right about right. He'll probably get the first 3. I think he would play most of the first quarter with whatever the red or the black is deemed to be the number 1 offense, and then I think you'll see him step aside, and then you'll see Stetson Bennett and Dwan Mathis and sorry for forgetting your name, the walk-on, forgetting. We'll get it from then on. But thanks for hanging out with us today. Mike Griffith and I will have much more from practice. We'll do a wrap-up at the end of the day, a wrap-up video that we'll post, and we'll have live reports and then reports after practice from post-practice interviews. And that's all for now. Glad to be back. Glad you hung out with me as we do every Thursday at 12:30 here on Facebook with Towers Take Live. Thanks for hanging out with me, and see you later on Dog Nation. Bye, y'all.